Welcome back to another weekly recap for September 8th. So today I'll again go over my top-down analysis for day-to-day for this week. And as you know, if most of you traded this week has probably been most of uneventful price action for CPI week for this whole year, I would say so. And also something to highlight for this is the only time that PPI news came out before CPI, so a lot of choppiness was observed going from Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday started to clear up throughout. So this week, if you came up on top or even just break even, it's down to you, and great job. And if you didn't make it, it's okay. Get back next week and go back looking at some of the mistakes that you had taken, and then this week, to be honest, there's a lot of trade probably you should have set out. I set out majority of the week here. There's not much trade to take. Even if there is trade that was presented, it didn't go through the target, which I'll step through now. Okay, so let me go back to roughly Friday. So going to Monday, and then I'll always mark out the high and low for previous week. So this is the weekly high. I think this is the low. Previous week. So with this, kind of we can tell first thing. So this is a 4-hour chart I'm looking at. I always like to take analysis on where is the market direction trying to go. So before we have downtrend analysis, market structure, as a shift over here, and as Crow rebalance back here, continue lower, grab these liquidity over here. So once these liquidity are grabbed, mark this. Once these are grabbed, we can see there is a market structure break around here. So there is a break of structure over here. So this is what I want to keep on eyes on. So on Friday, we can see a respected zone very, very well, and continue. So what I'm expecting on Monday is a continuation upwards. So here, this is the 4 hours. Here, there's a zone here. I want to see if it's respecting the zone. So I leverage this order block. So this is Monday, going to Monday. Leverage this order block, and probably also mark out. Let me mark out the key opening gap as well. So this is the new weekly opening gap. Going back to the 4 hours. So here, this is what I'm looking at. I want to see the price push up here, but theirs is also, you can see a zone. You can call it a supply demand zone or whatever you call it, you couldn't call it a order block. So, but there is a key level here that you can see is respecting it, So I want to see if on this day it's going to respect this area zone and continue to push up towards this key level. So if I zoom down to Monday, what I was looking for, I want to see some sort of continuation upward to grab this zone. Okay. One thing I'm noticing is it is also around the OTE zone, so there is a high chance that it could go down, grab more liquidity before going up. So I want to see at least some short structure form before I take a long entry. Okay. So this is roughly opening, or so right at the open, I got a huge push upwards. When I got a huge push upwards, this is telling me that either it continue upwards or there's no trade today, right? So for here, one of the key zone in the 30 minutes I'm looking at is over here. Okay, so there is a order block. There's a order block over here that I want to see to grab this relative equal lows to continue higher. So if you take this internal low to high, this is roughly in the OTE zone, which is what I'm looking for. I want to see some sort of retracement downwards and then continue higher. So as we did get that, but as you can see, this is near the end of the closing. I don't ever trade past noontime, so when the trade to noon, I didn't see any setup, and then it was curling to build, consolidate back and forth. So let me zoom into 5 minutes over here. With all these consolidation, I didn't like it either way, so I didn't take any trade on Monday. So even if it does pull down here where I was, this is where I was looking at, aligning the order block, which is highlighted in this green over here. Let me change the color. And this orange box over here, I did touch it, and also in the OT zone, which is great, but this is way too late and I don't trade anything. So following my rules, there was no trade on Monday that I see that fit my criteria, so there's no trade. If you did take a trade, either you took a short up here, but I don't see, I mean, there is an entry if you can lower time frame, but it's a little bit tricky for this since all these consolidation, and then to me there's a very strong chance you want to grab the weekly high, and obviously it didn't. So even some trader, if they held long played, they never reached their profit target. They probably partial. If you did, great. If you didn't, you probably just had a break-even day. Okay, so moving on, going back to 4-hour chart. So looking on going to Tuesday. So this is that. Oh, okay. I think I went a little bit too fast. Okay, so Tuesday, this is the price action I wanted. Pulling back down here, and then respecting the zone I was looking for. So in the 4-hour, this order block, which is what I'm eyeing for. In the morning, over here, same thing. This zone here are my key point of interest. So let me put a point of interest over here, aligning with yesterday low, and also all these equally high. This is what I'm looking for. This is where you could take in a trade here. So leveraging this internal low to this high, you can take a trade from here, and then your stop will be at yesterday low here. And this is very, very tight. So this is actually not that I didn't like this trade at all, because I was literally 1 point away from getting tapped out. So this low was 724.5. This low is 726. So I was 50 cents away from getting tapped out from my stop loss, which is way too close. I didn't like how it retraced all the way down here, but my limit order sitting up here around the OT of this order block. Even though it did work out, but this is not ideally. It's just a stressful day. So I mean, if you go on to 5 minutes, you can see went down. I mean, it built structure, and then but it took a while, and then it broke out of market structure over here. So once it broke up market structure over here, you could add pyramid into your position, where this is your first entry. It could also be here, and then just hold away till up here, okay, which is the equal high. So once the equal high is grabbed, that's it. That's done. So next day, going to Wednesday, which is the tricky day. Straightforward day. I liked it. I liked the price action, but I don't like how it played out. So this is Wednesday. Wednesday on highlight. So this become a breaker. So once, let me remove all this. Once this is all candle close above it, this become a breaker. I want to see some sort of retracement all the way down here before continuation upwards. Okay, so when I zoom down to 30 minutes, this is my take. When all these candle close above it, this retrace here essentially is my key zone. So my key zone was a little bit big. My point of interest was here. Okay, and then what I took in the 5 minutes. So when I zoom down to 5 minutes, so even include 1 hour, one thing to highlight. This is the zone I'm looking for. the golden pocket. It's over here. The 1 hour rebalance. So this is the golden pocket that I'm looking at, and then using the OTE, aligning with this 1 hour, and also there is these relative equal lows that I'm eyeing for. This is where I place my entry for my limit order, and my stop was here, and my target was for at least 2 RR, which is these relative equal high, right? So this is 2.10 RR roughly for these relative equal high for my first target, and then the rest will be up here. But I didn't want, the reason I didn't want to target this up here is because this is a liquidity sweep. So going back, see this already swept this top. These liquidity sweep make me think it's not gonna go up there, and which I was right, but it never reached my target. So ideally, when you have liquidity sweep, it will go down here and then retrace. So, and then typically retrace to the OT zone. So you can see it literally tap OT, and this is probably where I should probably taken some off. But the reason I didn't take anything off, because this is only less than 1.5 R. And my target is always the 2 R. I guess this is the part where the learning experience, maybe recognizing on days where I can't say this is low quality setup. It is an A+ setup in my book, but these are something I will have to adjust on whether just to take a break-even day or at least take some away. Because if I do take this some off here, sure, I'll make some money. But then if I leave the remaining order up here, my risk and reward will dramatically decrease, right? So I don't think I will adjust too much to this unless there is a particular reason for me to. So this is the reason I didn't take any partial here, which maybe I should have when I saw all these consolidation. So similar to on Monday, where we saw, this is Tuesday, where we saw all these try to push up all these consolidation. Maybe you should have taken, you know, as a key sign where taking some off the table, right? So here I took it up here, and then it came all the way down. And obviously when they have breaker structure over here, every time when there's a breaker structure of new structure form, I will just move my stop to break even. So it would become a risk-free trade for this. So this day I took the trade, but it was break even, nothing eventful. When it went up, it went smooth. There's nothing too much to be fixed here. The only question in the future is if I should have taken some partial off here, but with how strong and also ES was making higher high, breaking, I think this day, this day was the day where it have a broke of new high of the day for ES. I was expecting with a strong move to continue push off upward, and also individual stock Tesla and Nvidia was very strong that day, so I decided to hold, but it didn't work out, and that's okay. Okay, so and that's it for Wednesday. Going to Thursday, this continued to hold. So one thing on Thursday I want to highlight also wasn't super great. This was the CPI day. So PPI day on Wednesday, CPI on this day. This liquidity already got swept. Okay, so in the 1 hour, I was looking at this zone to continue to get respected, but with this equal low over here is where I won, hoping that the CPI didn't grab it, but it did. So even here, this is the zone I was looking for. Order block over here, and then there in the 4 hour there is a 4 hour fair value gap. So going to the 30 minutes, I was expecting, yes, the price down to sweep this equal low before continuing higher, but I wanted that to happen later. I was hoping the CPI will push it higher first and then come down during the opening hour and have the opening drive, but that didn't happen. So there was either two things here. Either I didn't take a trade, or one thing is I could take an OTE from here, but I never reached even the OTE zone from this relative equal low to this relative equal high for internal structure, never even retraced to OTE zone for me to even consider taking a trade. So this day, literally no trade. And if you take any trade, the risk and reward will be low on this. Okay, and now diving into why this week is such a hard week to trade for majority of folks. So for example, on Tuesday, you have all these relative equal high, didn't get swept until later and near the closing. The majority didn't even profit on this because I think majority was favored long, but it never carried through. And then over here, you have all these equal high that you think you're gonna reach, but it never reached throughout Thursday trading week, which this was the obviously move, but it never reached there. So it was just a price action is the reading of the direction. I think majority who are reading the market correctly, you are correct reading majority, but the price is not efficient enough this week to even push during the market hours. So that's my take on this. What make this week a little bit tricky is the price action was not efficient enough to push higher, even though we know the direction want to go higher. In short. Okay, so on Friday, so this is Thursday and going to Friday. So Friday was straightforward. This is Friday. Okay, so Friday, this is very straightforward. This is the zone I'm looking for. We can see these are the equal highs that is looking for, and then it's going to push for this. The price is strong enough that it want to push for these equal high. That was built in the pre-market. Okay. So those are our targets, and then this is our the 4-hour fair value gap, and then we have order block clear. So my key zone, I go down to 30 minutes. So going down to 30 minutes, my key zone does align with my higher time frame, 30 minutes over here, right? And then my key zone is here, and I literally bottom wicked it on this one. So going down to 5 minutes on this, going down to 5 minutes, you have the market opens right here. So, and then my entry, so you can take a look on the trade I posted this week, and then my low was down here. So you're only risking 36 points, and then you're targeting all the way up here. So this is the high, right? And then I would target roughly 2 hour. So it's a little bit over high, and obviously this today it went all the way to 4 hour, but I don't know if it's gonna continue push this week. How unrealistic of price action, how inefficient it is. I didn't want to aim for home run. Right? I didn't even leave any runner for this. I miss half of the move, half the profit on the table, but that's okay with me, right? The goal is as long as you're profitable for the end of the week green. So I ended the week green. That's perfectly fine. Even though I didn't take too much trade, but that's always goal. You want to preserve your ammo during day that's not efficient. So for this week, throughout the beginning of the week, I recognize that this week is the price action is not efficient enough for me to even aim for home run, right? And you shouldn't always aim for home run. So on this, took a trade, bottom wicked it over here, entry, and then as I got to this top over here, I began to sell some of my order here because I'm recognizing price action. So if you go down to 2 minutes, you can see this. Once you get down to up here, it's just doing the same thing in the past week of Wednesdays, Thursday, where I'm thinking, is it going to form a equal high? But it never even grabbed this high. So when it get pushed up here, the price slow down, the order flow slow down, right? There's not much of buy side inefficiencies imbalance for me just to start taking at least 1/3 of my contract off here, right? So once I took 1/3 of my contract off here, the pull all the way down here, when it come back up, grab this high, I took another half of my contract off, and then I let the remaining 1/3 of my contract at the top. So this week, just this single trade was $3,000, which is more than enough. That I don't want. I mean, I could aim for all the way up here, but that's really unrealistic. Even though if you take here and then you do a fib, so real target was around here. The golden pocket is around the zone, right? These are the profit targets, and then you have the 4.4, which did go all the way to 4. But this is not really realistic. The zone I'm aiming for is just here, around here. So around the 2 standard deviation, I'm okay with it. Not aiming all the way for home run. But in short, this week is definitely, I wouldn't say tricky to trade. It's pretty straightforward for price action read, but the price was not efficient. You can see this is Monday. Monday we have a lot of conflict, so you have point interest zone here, strong supply support, and then you have strong resistance up here. It just never pushed forward, right? And then even till the next day, the market open, tried to push up, it didn't push. On Tuesday, it went all the way down. But it did respect the zone, so it does tell you a story that this week, from this Tuesday onward, you should only be looking for long trade. You shouldn't be shorting it, right? Because you want to form a bullish market structure when you are respecting the zone, when even this a lot of selling pressure is up here, but refuse to go lower. This is telling you a story that you want to look for long entry. So on Wednesday, even though it started the open, right? It started open way up here high. You should not be chasing high. You want to go all the way down, at least grab this equal low, because these liquidity is being built to go higher. And also on the higher time frame, again, this is already breaking a new structure at forming a breaker, right? Breaker is always one of the favorite key indicator for me to trade. I have a separate video on this. If you're interested, you can take a look on how to leverage breaker and order block. So this is the key zone that I'm looking for, but this is way too late on Wednesday for me to even take a trade. But anyway, this formed a nice story points for me to basically confirm my analysis is right, that the structure of the market want to go higher, and we are in the buy side model where we want to continue to grab these high that was built last month, respecting the zone, respecting the breaker, which is always key. This day on Thursday, unfortunate, even though great setup, pull all the way down here, the CPI took the south side liquidity, which ideally I didn't wish that to happen so quick during the 8:30 news, but it did happen, so nothing we can do. So really there's no trade, but where else Thursday would have been a much cleaner trade, but nothing here. And then we have Friday, right? Friday was probably the cleanest trade out of the whole week. Very straightforward. They want to continue to grab this equal highs, and all these liquidity is formed, getting swept, protected low, simple OTE, entry at bottom wick, and align with fair value gap or wherever PD array you bullish PD array you have set in line, and then just aim for target high. That's it. Simple as it is. Keep your analysis simple so you don't get paralyzed, overloaded with too much information whenever you're setting up your trade on a daily basis. All right, that's it for this weekly recap. Hopefully next week will be a lot better, but something to keep in mind is for both ES and NQ, we are at all-time high. There is no structure to the left for us to reference. So typically when you're at an all-time high, it will be more patient for setup to form. Sometimes it will continue keep pushing higher without any structure for you to really trade off of. So do be careful on, just FOMO into a trade. Let a trade come to you instead of chasing the trade. It's something to take a look at for this new high, right? This new high is a little bit easier to trade since you have this equal low. Once it broke it on Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, this is Wednesday, is a little bit tricky. You have no structure to the left. Let me kind of go all the way down here. So it only form a new high, and then going to the next day is a little bit easier because then you have a break of structure going to bearish forming over here, and once that broke, you can see later on just went straight down because it was very, very obvious This is not hard to trade, but mainly is this day. This day is essentially what is probably going to most likely look like on the Monday, the open next week. And there's no structure. So for this, if you want to, let's say this is next week Monday, we broke a new high on this day, which is Friday. This is Monday open. There is no structure for you to look to the left to confidently say that there is liquidity to be swept to continue higher. If you take the high breaking this equal low, you have got burned, right? Unless you held all through, which is too big of a risk. This week, if open like this, when he's already up here, you shouldn't probably take a trade. You need to look for some sort of market structure that is forming for you to confidently take a trade. Don't just put on the trade just to put on the trade. Same here as well. There's really pretty hard for you to take the trade as here as well. This is a little bit better since you have a market structure that's one to form bearish in the 30 minutes in the higher time frame, but still take some time to look into what you're looking for instead of just putting on any trade, right? That's it for this week. Stay safe and happy trading for next week.